Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Travis McGuire, and today we are going to talk about, DJ pricing. We're really going to go down into the rabbit hole today. So try to follow along. We've got a lot to cover. I am not sure how long this podcast is going to be. It's probably going to exceed an hour, which, by the way, if you have YouTube Premium, you can actually shut your screen off and still listen. And I'm also going to find a way for you to listen to this podcast on other platforms like Spotify, iHeartRadio, any other platforms I can possibly get on, which I don't know much about it yet. I'm still learning about it, so I don't even know if I can get on those platforms, but I'm going to try for sure. We'll definitely make that available to you, but I will find a way to where you can download the audio only and just listen to it. So if you want to drive in your car and listen, if you want to, go for a walk, if you just want to listen to it in your living room instead of having to watch the YouTube video, I'm going to find a way for you to have access to the audio only version. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And if you like what we're doing here on the channel, make sure you smash that like button. So let's get into this. So the first thing that I want to talk about is why are there so many DJs still that are charging 1980s prices? I'm talking about $500, $600, $700 for premium weddings. It's just something that kind of boggles the minds of a lot of us professionals. Now, we understand that there's always going to be the weekend warriors in the wedding market, people that still have full-time jobs that they DJ on the side. But my question to those people is, why do you do it that way? Why do you not want to go DJing full-time? Just from my experience, I've been doing it for 6 years. Let me tell you something. It's awesome. I work from home. I work worst case scenario, if I've got a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days a week. Most of the time, it's just Saturdays. Every now and then, it's a Saturday, Sunday, or a Friday, Saturday. So really, in reality, worst case scenario, I'm looking at 3 days straight of work, plus client meetings, stuff like that. So it still turns into a full-time job. But I'm here a lot with my kids. I get to spend time with my family. I don't have really anyone to report to other than the tax man. So it's something that I just don't understand why people want to do this part-time. I mean, if you are working full-time because you are digging your benefits, things like retirement, 401k, health insurance, then I completely understand that and completely understand that actually. So, I don't have health insurance. It's just an expense as of right now that I can't afford. So it's something I'll eventually get to, but I'm just not really digging the premiums you have to pay for health insurance at the moment. So, but eventually. So I completely understand on those realms. But if you are at the capacity to where you could work as a full-time DJ, tell me down in the comment section, why don't you? I really do want to know. Maybe we can do a whole podcast revolving around that. The other thing I want to talk about is it's okay to raise your prices. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are really struggling. They want to raise their prices, but they're scared to because they're afraid that they're not going to get the same amount of work that they did the previous year, and their end goal is to get more gigs. I understand that. I have that way of thinking every now and then too. I'm looking at my calendar. I've got 62 weddings on it for this year, and I'm still looking at it going, it's not enough. I need more than that. But I understand where you're coming from. But look at it in this aspect. If you're doing 60 weddings at $500 a pop and you raise your prices to $1,500 and you only do 50 weddings, you are still miles and miles and miles ahead of where you were. So don't be afraid to raise your prices. There are a lot of benefits to it. The venues get better. The clientele gets better. People will take you a little bit more seriously as a DJ when you're at a higher price point because they understand that you are a professional. This is what you do for a living. It's not a side project. And that's the other benefit to being full-time is I'm always there for my clients. If they shoot me an email and I'm awake, and it could be 3 a.m, if I'm awake, I can send one right back to them. If they need to meet me tomorrow and I don't have any other meetings going on, I can do that. They don't have to work around my schedule. I get to work around their schedule, which is kind of the way it should be as professionals. We need to be working around our clients' schedules instead of them working around ours. Now, most of my clients know and understand that no, we cannot have a sit-down meeting on a Saturday or a Friday or a Sunday in most occasions. It's just not going to happen. So they understand that because they know that I'm working, I'm gigging. If you watched the last podcast, you might be thinking, geez, you put in 14 to 17 hours each wedding day, each gig day. Yeah, I leave the house around 10 a.m. I'm not usually getting back home till 1 or 2 a.m. So, yeah, it's an extremely long day, but it's so well worth it. So I want to tell you a little story. Just in case you were afraid to raise your prices, I want you to understand this story and where I'm coming from. A couple of years ago, I was in the hospital with my wife. We had just had our son. I got an email from a client. They were interested in one of my packages. I had just raised my rates. And the particular package that they were looking at was a $1,750 package, which I was super excited about because I had never sold a package that high before. So we went to the meeting. They were super enthused, and they ended up booking me there at the meeting. $100 deposit was all I was charging at the time. And this was in the first week of October when I met with them. So right around the last week of November, I get an email from them saying, hey, look, our cousin's going to DJ our wedding. We no longer need your services. Thank you very much, though. They didn't ask for the deposit back. They didn't ask for any kind of other information, anything like that. I was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hate to lose you as a client, but I completely understand. If you've got someone in the family that can do it, I get it. So about a month and a half rolls around, and their wedding would have passed at that point. My wife has a cousin who's a baker, and she bakes wedding cakes. It's the main thing that she specializes in is wedding cakes. And she took a photo with, I believe it was her daughter in the photograph with her, and they were at a wedding venue. And the architecture looked familiar. And I was like, oh, that's the Gramercy. I was supposed to play there on this day, but the client, had a different DJ, had their cousin DJ their wedding. Well, as I'm scrolling through some of the photos, she ends up taking a photo with the DJ's setup behind her. And I recognized the setup. I'm not going to mention who it was or what company it was. The person who owns the company, we had a long conversation about everything, and he's actually mind-boggled at the whole situation as well. So what ended up happening is they went with a much higher-priced DJ. And I got a hold of that DJ. I was like, hey, I'm just curious. I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I'm just trying to wrap my head around exactly what could have happened here. I had this client and I noticed that you all were DJing at the wedding that I was supposed to be at. And I know you all are at a higher price point. What did they tell you when they booked your services? And the DJ I was talking to said, nothing really. I mean, when they walked in the office and said they were looking for a DJ for a date that was less than a month away, we were kind of like, whoa, I mean, why are you waiting this long? I understand this is a December wedding. It's not like a premium date. But we thought it was kind of odd that they hadn't looked for a DJ either. So I just kind of was mind boggled by that. And I asked him, I was like, you don't have to tell me. I'll tell you first. I was like, I was charging him $1,750. Did you charge him anywhere in the realm of that? And he said, oh no, we charged him way more than that. Way, way more than that. About 1,000 more to be precise. So I've got two theories about the whole situation. Theory number one is that they really did have their cousin that was going to DJ, and then he ended up backing out, and they may have had too much pride to call me back. That happens quite often. The other thing that could have happened is they may not have been taking me serious with the prices that I was at. They were expecting to spend a lot more. Therefore, their expectations were a lot higher. And they may have thought, this guy may not be equipped to handle what we want to use him for. Maybe we should find a better professional. I mean, it is what it is. Lesson learned, right? So those are the two situations, the one or two things it could be. But yeah, it was mind-boggling. I was like, wow, I can't believe they went with a higher price DJ over my services, which is completely fine. I wasn't offended by it, but It is what it is. So the moral of the story is don't be afraid to raise your prices. You shouldn't be afraid of that kind of thing. If anything, if you're raising your prices and you're still booking, then continue raising your prices. You should raise your prices every single year until you stop getting conversions on your leads. And what I mean by a conversion is a conversion rate, rather, for every lead you get versus every lead that you book. So a successful DJ should be booking somewhere around 30, 35 to 40% of the leads coming in. Now you might be thinking that's a really, really low number. I book 90% of my leads. If you're booking 90% of your leads, you're not charging enough. All right. The number one reason why a client will not book you should be because you charge too much. And which, by the way, don't ever take that as an insult. If a client tells you that they can't afford you, it doesn't mean that you're too much. It just means that they can't afford you. There's nothing wrong with that. There are other DJs in the realm that will take that wedding and they'll still get, hopefully quality service. But what we're going to talk about a little bit today, actually very in depth today, is how to come up with a comprehensive business plan so you can see exactly how much money you're spending per wedding. And some of you might be shocked. Some of you might find out you're losing money. I hope that's not the case. I hope we find out that everybody out there is making some money. Pardon me, I got to scratch my nose. I have allergies like crazy, and it is August, so the allergies are going nuts. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a comprehensive inventory manifest. So you might be thinking, what is that? Well, a manifest in flight terms, in aviation terms, is basically who all is on the plane, where are they going? So this is just an inventory list that accounts for every single thing in your inventory and how much it cost. And I don't care if you got a pair of QSC tops for $300 used on Facebook. You cannot build your business plan around that price. You have to build it around the replacement price. If you cannot find a used speaker on guitarcenter.com or on Facebook Marketplace or anywhere else, if you have to outright go buy a brand new K12.2, it's going to cost you $850. So even if you got your set of speakers for $600, but the full retail value is $850 per speaker, that's what you need to list it in your business plan. Because if you needed to replace that speaker, that's how much it's going to cost you. Now, a lot of this list is my actual equipment and part of my actual business plan, but I will be fully transparent with you from the get-go. After I built this business plan, because it's been a while since I've done it, I realized I left a few things out, especially of the overhead portion of it. So bear with me. We'll get into that in a minute. It's not much. It's like $150 worth of stuff, but it's still missing a few things. So the first things in my inventory manifest, my QSC K12s, we're going to start with the PA system. The QSC K12.2s are $850 a piece. I've got two of them. That's $1,700. I have two KS112 by QSC subs. Those are $1,000 a piece, and I have two of those. It's a grand total of $2,000. I have two LD System Maui 28G2 column array speakers. Those are $1,200 a piece, and I have two of those, so a grand total of $2,400. A Pioneer DDJ 1000 at $1,200. A Phoenix Pro PTU 7000 mic system at $380. I also have a wired Shure SM58 microphone for $100. A Yamaha MG06X mixer, which is a 6-channel mixer by Yamaha, an external mixer. Very important that you have that, and we'll get into that later on. That was $130. Tripod speaker stands were $300. Audio cables in total around $200. My American Audio ELS Go 8BT, which is a battery-powered speaker for my ceremonies, ran about $230. My Halo Bolt, which powers my microphone system for the ceremonies, was $100. My Audio 2000's tripod stand was $42. And I have three laptops at $500 a piece with a grand total of $1,500. My total PA system, the manifest, is $10,282. So that's just PA. That's just audio, folks. We haven't gotten to lighting yet. That's what we're going to get into now. Lighting manifest. I have 12 Freedom Pars. Now, I bought them, the whole set of 12, for $1,800. But, like I said, you can't roll off of how much it costs you to actually purchase them, especially if you got a deal on them. You need to figure into your business plan how much it would cost if I needed to replace all 12 of those brand new out the box. So, a Freedom Par Tri 6 is $300 a piece. I've got 12 of them, so $3,600 just in that uplighting system. A lot of money. Then I have what I call uplighting direct. These came directly from China. I have 20 of them. They're hex LED. It's the uplighting I'm currently using. All 20 of those came in with bags at $1,850. I have 2 Chauvet Intimidator Spot 360s in white. Those are $1,030. I've got 2 of those for a grand total of $2,060. American DJ Mega Hex Pack at $460. Chauvet Wash FX $230, and I have 2 of those, so $460 there. Bags and road cases valued at around $1,350. DMX cables, PowerCon cables, extra IEC cables, right around $350. And then wireless DMX donors, I have a total of $500 worth of those. So my comprehensive lighting manifest is $10,630. So we're already over 20 grand, and we haven't even started talking about setup aesthetic. So setup aesthetic is something that you don't really need to figure in completely. You can put some of these items within your lighting or your audio manifest, but I like to keep this stuff separate just so I know exactly where I've got my money, where it's divided out to. So the first one is my Elite Booth 58S. What is that? That is my DJ booth that has the TV in it. It's my TV booth. If I needed to buy one, let's say mine broke and I needed one tomorrow, I could buy one. I could buy a Toadmatic. I think their base model is right around $3,500, something like that. That might be off. That might be completely wrong. So if I needed one on the fly, it would cost me $3,500. That's what I have. And plus, if you wanted me to build you an Elite Booth 58S, it would cost you $3,500. I have 2 Global Truss 2-meter trussings with bases valued at $1,500. I have 2 Nova Pro PS1 XXLs at $230 a piece for $460. I have 2 Rockville Totems at $150 a piece for a total of $300. And then tripod scrims, $40 a piece, 4 of those at $160 for a grand total of $5,980. So we're already well above 26 grand. Then one of the biggest business expense you'll ever have in running a business, overhead and business expenses. And this is where I'm actually missing a few things, like my website, which cost me $100 a year. So let's get into that. Cell phone. Now, my bill is actually much higher than this number, but I'm talking about my portion of the phone bill, not my wife's line, not my mother-in-law's line, and not like the lines for our smartwatches. Just my voice, text, and data line, and my phone that's financed. We're looking at $150 a month times 12, because you have to look at this as a yearly thing. $1,800 just in cell phone expenses or cell phone usage. Insurance, $17 a month. Insurance is not expensive. If you're rolling without insurance, you are crazy. It is the most important thing you can get as a DJ. Liability insurance, people, get it. Don't be stupid and roll without it. A lot of venues won't even let you in the door without it. Insurance is $17 a month times 12. You're looking at $204. Wedding wire and the knot. So we're looking at advertising costs. $329.93 a month times 12. That's $3,959.16 for a whole year of the wedding wire and the knot. And I'm the top listing on both of those sites. Marketing materials. I've budgeted right around $550. That's banners, flyers, business cards, t-shirts. I'll show you that in a minute. Anything that would be considered marketing. What's the difference between marketing and advertising? Advertising costs you money to expose you to a bunch of people, marketing is pretty much free. Like if I could get a bunch of people to wear my t-shirts, it didn't cost me anything. It's not costing me anything for them to walk around my t-shirt on. And it's kind of free advertising. That's kind of the difference between marketing and advertising in a nutshell. Not completely, but in a nutshell. $550 a year budgeted for that. Sometimes it's over, a lot of times it's under, but $550 is a round number for that. My music pool promo only is $42.40 a month times 12 because we're looking at an annual budget, $508.80. Office. Now, I don't actually have office space. I use my home as my office. So you're going to think, well, then how do you have an office expense? Well, my house is exactly 2,000 square feet. The room, which is this room here my office is in, is I think it's right around 350 square feet. So if you divide that, you're looking, or it's actually about 400 square feet actually. So if you divide that by the 2,000 square feet in the house, you're looking at about a fifth. So about 20% of the house I use as an office. My mortgage is $1,200 a month. $1,200 times 0.20 comes out to $240 times 12. So for my office space in my house, I'm spending $2,880 a month. Or a year. Gas. Yeah. Gas at 30 gigs a year, $50 times 30. You're looking at $1,500 in gas. So all of this stuff added up. PA system was $10,282. Lighting systems was $10,630. Setup aesthetic was $5,920. Overhead and business expenses was $11,401.96 for a grand total of $38,233.96. Folks, that is how much it cost to run my business annually. Now, you're probably thinking, now, wait a minute. You don't buy all this equipment every single year. No, I don't. I don't start fresh every year. That's crazy. But I need to know what's in my inventory to see how much it's costing me if I had to buy that stuff all over again. That way I know if I did have to buy it all over again, would I still be making a profit? Well, my total sales for this year is 82 grand. So 82,000 minus 38,233.96 gives me a profit of $43,766.04. Not a bad year. And those are real numbers. That is my true profit, my P&L, my profit and loss statement. So that's for almost $100,000 a year operation. That's pretty big. And I know a lot of people, they're not working at that level. They're not working at that capacity. Some are working at a lot higher capacity. Some are working at a much lower capacity. So I wanted to do something a little bit more realistic. So I wanted to put myself in the shoes of an upstart. What is it going to cost me for the bare basics, the bare minimum to start gigging today? I'm going to set myself a goal in this business plan. I'm going to set all the expenses and run all those numbers. Bear with me here. So this is our basic Upstart business plan. Okay, this is probably very indicative of a lot of you are running because you're just getting started or you're running on the bare minimum and you may not be charging as much money as you would like to. This is where you're going to find out you might be losing some money. All right, so I am looking at this in the aspect of, okay, I want a quality audio system. I don't care too much about the lighting system yet. That's something we can get to later, but I want to make sure everything sounds good and I want some reliability. So QSC K12.2s, which are fantastic speakers. They are right up there with the ETX series when it comes to how loud they are, but they're not $1,200 a piece. They're only $850 a piece, so $1,700 for those. 2 laptops, $700 a piece. That's a Walmart special. That's nothing too fancy. 2 of those, because you want a backup. So $1,400 there. We're not going to do a Pioneer DDJ 1000 or an SRT or anything like that, but we don't want to go anything too low budget either. We want some pro hookups. So we are going to get the DDJ 800, which is a 2-deck version of the 1000. That is an $800 controller. We want an external mixer because external mixers are going to give you more headroom. The preamps that are on the DJ controllers for the microphones suck. Don't use them. They're terrible. I made that mistake for years. Get a external mixer. And one of the best ones you can buy, and it's small and it's not too expensive, is the Yamaha MG6X. That's a $130 mixer. Microphones, just all together microphones, about $500. You want some quality mics, things that aren't going to fall apart on you, things that aren't going to drop out and cut out all the time. $500 for that. That's a cabled and a wireless system. All cables, whether it's DMX cables, whether it's audio cables, extension cords, whatever it might be, even gaff tape is figured into this. $400. A facade, $300. Speaker stands, $200, and that's the bare minimum speaker stands. Let's say a Gig Bar 2. I want something simple and not too expensive. A Gig Bar 2 is going to cost you $560. A Mega Hex Pack. You can't go wrong with a Mega Hex Pack. Par cans are extremely versatile. You can use these to light up your facade, or you can do some very light uplighting with them. Those are going to run you $460. That's with the bag, the DMX cables, and all the plugs as well, which is a pretty darn good deal. Bags and row cases, I figured about $700. That's probably giving it a lot of room. And your overhead, folks, even on a very small operation, you're looking at about $5,000 in overhead. That gives you a grand total of $12,150. So, let's say since you're new, since I'm new, this is my Upstart, I figure $500 is a great starting point to start charging for weddings. I'm going to charge $500 for a 4-hour reception, no more than that, because I want to build my business. And I don't think I'm going to charge more than that because I want to be of value to people. Well, your goal is 20 gigs a year. And let's say you actually hit 20 gigs a year. At 20 gigs a year, with all of your expenses, all of your business expenses, whether it's overhead, all of your equipment, your PA, your lighting, your cost of operations per gig is $607.50. That means you just took a $107.50 loss per event. This is why it's important to charge a high amount. It has nothing to do with getting rich. I've seen so many people say, oh, these, part-timers, they'll charge between $500 and $700, but these full-timers are looking to get rich, which is hilarious because you're not going to get rich doing this. I mean, you could if you own a huge multi-op company and you're charging, crazy premium prices, but you're not going to get rich off of being a DJ. You can have a great life though. So your goal obviously is you don't want to lose money. You want to gain money. So if you are charging $500 per wedding and you have equipment that's valued more than this and your overhead is higher, how are you guys doing it? How are you staying afloat? That kind of business plan, you know what that spells out in 2 years? Chapter 13. You don't want to do that. That's called bankruptcy, by the way. Now, let's say you set your goal at 40 gigs a year and you actually hit that. You book 40 gigs for your first operational year. First of all, if you can do that, tell me how you did it, because I would like to learn how to do that. I didn't book 40 gigs in my second year in the Louisville market full time. So yeah, that's it. That would be awesome. This is the exact same business plan, $12,150 as your grand total of all of your business plan. But since you're doing 40 gigs, it brings your total cost of operation per gig down to $303.75. But you didn't raise your prices. You kept them at $500. So your total profit per event is only $196.25. Okay, cool. It's a profit. The one thing you're not figuring in with profit is taxes and reinvestment. You want to reinvest in your company. You want to upgrade. You don't want to stay with the same equipment for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. You want to get better stuff. So, the point of all of this, and I know it's been a lot, it's tons of numbers. I'm sorry if I bored you with it, but it's important that we get this information across. When you look at what you have into your company, and you see how much it's costing you per wedding. Let's say, for me personally, at 60 gigs a year, 'cause that's about what I do, 60, give or take, maybe not at that many, but sometimes more this year. It cost me $633.33 just to say hello, just to show up at the event and start setting my equipment up. It cost me $633.33. So imagine if I was charging $750 to do those weddings. I'm not making any profit. Very, very, the most minuscule amount possible. And I can't upgrade any of my gear. I just don't have enough money, because once you figure in mortgage and car payments and car insurance, which you can build those things into your business plan if you want to. I buy my cars outright and maintain them, but if you finance a vehicle, if you lease a vehicle, you can build that stuff into your business plan. But if you don't make your prices accordingly, you need to find out what your operational costs are. That way, you know how much it's costing you per event. That way you can tack on to that price your payment. What are you going to pay yourself at the end of this event? For me, I average $1,500 per wedding. I know that's not a crazy amount of money. I should be a lot higher for the level of service I think that I offer. And that is going to change here soon. But at $1,500 per gig, at 60 gigs for this year, I'm still bringing home a profit per event of $866.67. That's a lot better than $196. That does allow me to reinvest in my company to where next year, or even at the end of this year, I can dramatically raise my prices and make even more profit. Again, I'm not trying to get rich. I'm trying to do exactly what you're trying to do. I'm trying to put my kids through college, through school. I'm trying to put food on the table, keep this roof over my house, and make sure I've got a vehicle to get from point A to point B. That is not so I can live a lavish lifestyle. Yes, I'm going to DJ Expo, but that is budgeted into my business plan for this year. So I know exactly how much money I needed to do that. And I knew how much I needed to charge to be able to do that. So it's not necessarily a vacation. It is, but it's not at the same time. There's a surcharge built into each one of my DJ packages that ensures that I can enjoy things like DJ Expo. DJ Expo is an educational event. It's something that will help you grow your brand and improve your skills. It's not just this lavish party. I mean, there are a lot of parties. There's a lot of after parties. There's a lot of cool stuff to do. But at the end of the day, it's about how to grow your brand, how to become a better DJ. And most importantly, it's about nationwide networking. You will learn more from other DJs from other parts of the country than you will learn from the DJs within your bubble. If I were only networked with DJs in the Louisville market, I would still learn a lot, but I wouldn't learn as much as I possibly could. So I'm not saying you have to go to a major national DJ convention and spend a ton of money to do this. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm about $2,000 into this trip, especially since I had to cancel with Spirit Airlines and book Delta because Spirit apparently sucks. So find out what your business expenses are, what all of your cost of operations are, whether it's $500, maybe it's only $300. That would be awesome. And then figure out what you want to pay yourself. Do you want to pay yourself $125 an hour on top of that? So basically what you're charging your client is the operational cost of $633. And then I'm charging them an additional $866.67 as my payment. A client who doesn't have a business background will look at that $1,500 figure and go, oh, he's making $1,500. No, I'm not. Not even close. I'm making just a little over half of that. About 58% of that is actual profit. The rest is all business expense, whether it's reinvestment, whether it's in the manifest, whether it's in gas, whether it's in upkeep, whatever it might be. So it's really important that you make a comprehensive business plan. I'm glad I did it today, as I haven't done this in 2 years. And guys, I haven't added, I didn't put things on here like my sparkulars, my dancing on a cloud effect. There are things that I actually forgot to put, like anything in the way of add-ons. My photo booth is not built into this business plan. So I'm looking at this going, man, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table. And you shouldn't do that. It's not about being greedy. I'm not saying that, you need to be a greedy person and take your clients for all they're worth. That is not what this is about at all. The national average for a wedding DJ in America, this is according to the Knot, was $1,200. That's the average cost for a wedding DJ nationwide. In some places it's a lot higher, in some places it's a lot lower. In the Louisville market, that seems to be about the average. But the question you want to ask yourself is do you want to be considered the average wedding DJ? I mean, I certainly don't. I want to be the best at what I do. I don't want to be the best in my market because I'm a firm believer that there is no such thing as a best in the market. But I want to be the best at what I do. I want to be the best at what I can do for my clients. I may not be able to offer, extreme concierge service to my guests like big companies like Party Zone Productions or Masters of Music. I may not be able to offer a lot of things that they can offer their clients simply because I don't have the means to. I don't have the office space. I don't have the same kind of equipment. I don't have the hand help. I'm a solo op DJ. I work completely and utterly alone. It's very rare that I have an assistant. Those companies, they're charging even more money because they have higher overhead. They've got multiple people to pay. They've got a slew of inventory, and they're also able to do crazy things like video walls and certain productions that I just simply cannot do because I don't have the hired help. That's why a lot of those companies charge what they charge. The main thing, the end game is you want to be able to sustain your business, be able to reinvest in it so you keep things fresh, and still offer the same level of client satisfaction. Part of my business model when I'm marketing to clients is, I'm going to help create an unparalleled wedding entertainment experience unlike anything you've ever seen. What does that mean? It means that it doesn't matter who you hire. They're not me. They can't do the things that I can do. Just as there's probably some things that you can do that I can't do. It's not about competition. It's not about trying to beat each other to the gig by, I can do that for $700. Well, then I can do that for $600. That's called racing to the bottom. Don't do it because it's going to cost you money in the long run. And the worst part is it's going to destroy the market value. And that hurts everybody. That hurts me. That hurts you. That hurts everybody. So you don't want to race to the bottom. All right. You want to be charging. If you're a reputable DJ and you've been doing this for 5, 6, 7 years and you're not charging 4 figures yet, what are you waiting for? Seriously, what are you waiting for? I'm going to tell you a quick story. I have raised my rates every single year admittedly in fear that I will do less work than the year before. Every single year I have raised my rates $250. And every year I gain between 5 and 10 more gigs than the year before. I did more weddings in 2020 of all years. I did more weddings and gigs in 2020 than I did in 2017. I didn't do as many, I didn't do more than in 2019, but that's a different story. I mean, COVID did hurt all of us. And from what I have been told, I don't know how true this is coming completely from a different person, but I've been told that I was one of the busier DJs in the Louisville market during COVID. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I am certainly grateful for it because it was getting to the point to where it really needed to happen, or I was going to go belly up, because those business expenses that happen monthly, those never stopped. Those just kept coming in. So I was grateful when August rolled around and we started gigging again. And I was so happy to be at the capacity that I was at. And then 2021's been an amazing year. 2022 shaping out to be even bigger. And I've raised my prices for that as well. don't be afraid to raise your prices. It's not going to hurt you in the long run. And even if you don't book as many weddings or gigs as the year before, if you book 25 instead of 30, look at it this way. Your prices are double what they were. So you're still going to make a lot of money. So don't be afraid to raise your prices. And don't be a bottom feeder. Okay. A bottom feeder is the person who has been doing this for a very long time. And you just have like a small group of you guys that just want to beat each other down to the bottom. It's what I call racing to the bottom. Don't do that. It's just going to hurt you in the long run. There's a difference between getting the booking because you're good and getting the booking because you're cheap. And you don't want to remain the cheap DJ for very long. And there's a lot of built-in reasons why. If you are considered the cheap DJ for an extremely long amount of time, you're forever going to be known as the cheap DJ. So when someone refers you, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, in person, whatever it might be, the last thing I ever want to hear someone say is, "Oh, hey, you should contact Travis. He's really cheap." I'm like, "Oh yeah, thanks. That's an awesome compliment. I'm cheap." You don't want to be that guy. Nobody wants to be that guy. We are all here to make some money, right? So let's start making some money. Let's get our prices above $1,000 as a great starting point. That way you're making money to reinvest in your company. And you will see things happen. You will see things like clientele improvement. You'll start getting into better venues, higher rated venues. You'll start noticing that the clientele that you're booking asks less of you. Every single time I've gotten anything outside the realm of a 5-star review, and like I said in my last podcast, it's only been 2 times. It's been those weddings that I cut them a really good deal. I charged like $500 for one, I think $750 for the other. Came back and it bit me in the butt. And those were the 2 weddings that made me wake up and go, I'm done. I'm done being the budget guy. I'm done doing this. It cannot. The grass has to be greener on the other side. You know, I would be playing in really small halls for 50, 60 people and having a hard time getting them to dance because they're just not partiers. And, you know, I would be at the Melwood Art Center in the Pigment Gallery, and I would look over at the Van Gogh room, and there's a wedding of 300 or 400 people going on over there, and they're just tearing up that dance floor. And I'm like, man, I really wish that could be me. Well, it's me now. Because I learned my lesson. I raised my prices. I got into better situations, better venues, and better clientele. Not saying that my clientele before was terrible, because I got some awesome clientele when I was the budget guy too. But those 2 weddings, the ones that cost me my 5.0 ratings on Wedding Wire and the Knot, they were cut deals. They asked the world. I gave them an inch, they took a mile, and they still were not satisfied. That's what you're going to find once you raise your prices, that your job actually becomes a lot easier in the long run. So make yourself a very, very similar business plan to this. I'm actually going to scan these and make them into PDF form. And I will put the link in the description of where you can find that PDF file. That way you can download it and see it as an example so you can download them as well. And hey, maybe you'll find out you are losing money. And if you are, that's unfortunate. But now you'll know exactly how to turn that around and exactly how much you should be charging to where you're pulling healthy profit, to where you can do things like reinvest in your company and attend things like expos and conventions. Whether it's Mobile Beat, which I don't think Mobile Beat's actually doing it anymore. Whether it's the Marquee Show in Chicago, DJ Expo in Atlantic City, the Wedding MBA, which I plan on attending in November. Go to these things. Midwest DJs Live, I think that's up in Milwaukee every year. That's the next one I want to go to after MBA. It's a great opportunity for you to learn things that you would have never learned otherwise. It's a great way to connect with professionals that are outside of your market. And it's a lot of fun. I know it's going to be. I can't even speak from experience yet because I've never been. Shout out to Jason Shields of Music in Motion. He got a hold of me 2 days ago, or was it 2 days? No, I think it was yesterday actually. Sorry, my days are all running together. I met up with him yesterday as I was at Walmart getting stuff for a small trip. We had to take our kids up to Muncie, Indiana, so their grandparents can watch them. Today is actually Friday. What is today? Today's Friday the 6th. Tomorrow's the 7th. I actually have a wedding at Ashford Acres tomorrow. They got Dancing on a Cloud, Sparklers, awesome stuff. But you're not going to see this podcast until next Wednesday. Next Tuesday. I've decided that all podcasts are going to air every Tuesday at 5 o'clock. I don't know if they're going to run like a German train schedule. I don't know if I'll be able to record one every single week. I know for sure I won't be able to record one next week, but you will have one. Obviously, because you're listening to it right now on Tuesday. That way you can listen to me ramble and give you very boring numbers. I know this one is a lot of work and a lot of math and a lot of listening to me ramble on and on and on and on about numbers, but I'm hoping you have a better understanding of how to put together a business plan. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. And just as some transparency, this business plan is not even like a self-taught business plan. This is something you can't really learn in any class. This business plan is a slightly modified business plan from Brian S. Red. He put out a couple videos a few years ago about how to formulate the business plan and then how to pay yourself out of it. That way you can figure in things like reinvestment, that kind of stuff. So, enough of the boring stuff. I know it's a lot. See, there's like, if you're watching the video anyway, there's a ton. I put a lot of work into this. It took me about an hour and a half to sit down, type all this stuff, and I'm glad I did because I needed it for my records too. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there, and hopefully you all found some benefit in it. Next thing I do want to talk about is the coming videos. They're going to start airing probably tomorrow here from Expo. You're going to be seeing a lot of new products. What those products are at this point, as of recording this podcast, I have no clue. I have no idea what I'm in for. They still haven't released the list of vendors as far as I know. They may have done it while I'm recording this, but as of today, they still have not released every single vendor that's going to be there. I'm sure RCF will be there. I'm sure LD Systems is going to be there. I know American DJ and Chauvet will be there. They're always there. Hard Rock is a lot bigger than the previous locations. This year, DJ Expo is on the boardwalk. And from what I've heard, it's always cooler when it's on the boardwalk. And I guess it's been a number of years since it's been on the boardwalk. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to launch a lot of videos of new products. I have a feeling, this is just a hunch. So as you know, NAMM was virtual, I do believe. I don't think NAMM did in person this year. NAMM is something you actually have to be invited to. It's not like a convention that you can just attend. You have to pretty much be given a pass to go. I know they didn't unveil anything new virtually that I am aware of. Maybe a couple things, but nothing big. I think a lot of things in 2020 got shelved until they were kind of in the all clear. Even though the Delta variant is kind of raging at this moment, DJ Expo is still full on go, go, go. And I think this is going to be the convention of the year that they're going to just dump a ton of new gear. At least that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen just because of the climate with COVID. It's the first really big in-person convention since COVID started. So I've got my fingers crossed that there's going to be a ton of new gear that I can show you guys. Things that are kind of pipe dreams that there's no way that we could afford them. Like, for example, the LD Systems P900s. If you're unfamiliar with that, that's a column array system that was designed in collaboration with Porsche. They are $4,500 a piece. Amazing speakers, though. They look absolutely fantastic. I would love to have a set, but not at that price. I don't know if QSC is going to be there. I'm a big QSC guy. I'm also a big Electro Voice fan. I'm pretty sure Electro Voice will be there. Still plan on meeting up with a lot of DJs. I've actually talked to a few more that are nationwide, including some local guys, including Jason. Jason, if you're listening to the podcast, it's nice to meet you, brother. I can't wait to see you at Expo. I know we're going to have a blast. Let's try not to get too crazy. But yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. So a couple of other things that I just wanted to address going forward with the podcast is, no, I did not leave my kid unattended. Someone made a comment on, I believe, YouTube about, hey, you said you locked your kid out of the room for 45 minutes. He was up there with his mother and recording this podcast. I'm actually home alone. My wife is working at a concert tonight. She's working at a Nelly and Florida Georgia Line concert that's at Waterfront Park tonight and tomorrow. So that's a pretty cool thing. She's bartending. So no, I did not lock my kid out of the room for 45 minutes completely unattended. My wife was upstairs with him. Second, like I said, I'm completely amateur at this. This room is not going to stay this way. I know it's pretty unsightly. This is my office. We're actually in the middle of remodeling it. We're getting ready to put in new flooring. We're getting ready to repaint the walls. This used to be a bedroom, and one day it will become my daughter's bedroom. It's going to be her little pad when she gets a little bit older. But I'm actually working on it's pretty much a rolling temporary wall, and it's going to be my backdrop. I'm designing it right now. I haven't even started building it, but eventually it's going to look a lot more aesthetically pleasing than what we're looking at right now. I know it looks like a bedroom, a really ugly purple bedroom. I don't understand why the previous owners painted it purple, because I think the kid that lived down here was a boy. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, this podcast is almost an hour long. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. If there's any other questions that you all have, whether it's pertaining to this video or anything else, like I said, if you need any advice or any help putting together a business plan, definitely put it down in the comments. Shoot me a text message. My phone number is 502-295-4090. Shoot me a message on Facebook, on Instagram, here on YouTube. I'm happy to help. It's exactly what I'm here for. I don't have all the answers. I'm not a business professional. I'm not a marketing wizard, but through my experience over the past few years, I feel like I've really done a pretty good job for not having any kind of formal training in business or in marketing or social media marketing or anything of those sorts. So I can't really complain. I feel like for the first time in my life, I was actually talking to Rachel Lynch about this. I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm getting to the point to where I've always wanted to be in my DJ career. I'm meeting and marketing and connecting, networking with industry professionals that I've always admired from afar. I feel like I'm really starting to make my mark, not just in my market, but just in the nationwide market. My goal is not to be like the next DJ Bar or the next Brian S. Red. That isn't the goal of these podcasts. It's never been the goal of my YouTube channel. It's why I don't do the super flashy videos that you might see on some of those channels. I'm here simply to help. I want my clients to see my gig logs. That way they can kind of see me perform without having to attend a party, because I don't want them to crash a wedding. So the channel has really and always been designed to let future potential clients see the performance before they decide to book. It seems to be helping out. Every time I get a client that is inquiring about a wedding at a venue that I've played at, I always send them the links to videos on my channel of that particular venue that I DJ'd at, so they can get a look and a feel of how it's going to look. Of course, if it was a video from 5 years ago, the setup is obviously going to look much, much different, but YouTube has become a great asset, and it also has become kind of a full-time job. It's kind of crazy how much YouTube can absorb your life. That's why I don't do a whole lot. As you all know, I have 2 kids, and I don't have the time to make the flashy, super fancy edited videos. I don't have time to upload 3, 4, 5 times a week. I'm lucky to get a gig log and a podcast in. The only reason why you're getting a podcast this week is because we decided to take the kids up to my parents a day early. And I had some free time, some actual alone time, so I was actually able to do this. Today I was able to prep for tomorrow's wedding. I was able to load the van, so it's ready to go. A little information about tomorrow's wedding. It's only 12 people. I know that sounds crazy. This particular client, I guess the venue had a very hard time getting a hold of. I haven't had a whole lot of communication with them. They own their own business as well, and they've just been swamped. So they haven't had a whole lot of time for any kind of sit down meetings or to plan out any kind of information. So they've kind of like, here's what we want, make it happen. I'm like, okay, cool. Oh, and by the way, there's only going to be 14 people there. So it's 12 guests and the bride and the groom. And it's a huge package. They have Dancing on a Cloud. They have sparklers. So it's kind of like, okay, what am I in for here? The good news is, though, is the event might end early. They have a formal sparkler send-off at 9 o'clock. With 12 guests, I just have a very hard time seeing them going all the way to 11 o'clock. Could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, great. Awesome. It's going to make the time go by faster. But if the event does end early, I have no idea how much footage I'm going to get from this gig log. If it's a lot of footage, I will post the gig log separately. If it's very little footage, I think it's how I'm going to kick off the vlog to DJ Expo. I think it'd be a cool, different, unique way to do it, just to kind of see how chaotic this particular week is. I have the gig tomorrow, so I'm going to leave the house right around noon because I'm not furnishing anything for ceremony. I'm leaving the house at noon. I'm going to get to Ashford Acres around 1:30. I'm going to set up. It should take me about 15, 20, 30 minutes to set up. And then I've got to set up a speaker and a microphone system for the ceremony, but all my stuff's battery powered. As you know, it's super duper quick. It takes me less than 2 minutes. And then when the event's over, I have to tear down. I have to load up. I have an hour and a half drive. Then when I get home, I've got to grab my bags. I got to unload. Then I got to grab my bags and I've got to head to the airport because my flight leaves at 6 a.m. And we'll be pulling into Atlantic City right around noon. So with Spirit Airline, we were flying from Louisville to Orlando and then Orlando to Atlantic City. Spirit Airlines is the only airline that services Atlantic City. Well, if you've been following the news the past few days, you may have noticed that Spirit has been canceling up to 60% of their flights daily because of an apparent staff walkout. A bunch of pilots and stewardesses just walked off the job because of the working conditions, I guess, because they're so stretched. So I ended up canceling my flight with Spirit and booking with Delta. The only issue with that is I get to play planes, trains, and automobiles. I have to fly from Louisville to Atlanta, Atlanta to Philly, take a cab from the airport to the Amtrak station, then get on a train to go to Atlantic City, and then I've got a 15-minute walk from the train station to Hard Rock Hotel. Should be fun. Should be a lot of fun. But as crazy as that sounds, I couldn't be looking more forward to it. I'm so ready for this trip. I know it's going to be a blast. I'm hoping to see a lot of you out there if you're watching this video. If not, save up for it for next year. I'll definitely be going next year for sure, as long as I've got the dates available, and I'm sure I will, that they do it during the week because they understand that we are weekend warriors, that we're out gigging every single Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's why Expo is Monday through Thursday, because they got to make that room for us. If they had it on a weekend, no one would attend, especially in August. We're all working. August is the deep breath before the plunge. I know in September and October all together, I'm looking at about 20 events total. It's a lot. It's almost, it's almost 2 weddings every single weekend. I know there's a lot of companies out there that do a lot more than that, but for a single op guy, that's a lot. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to me ramble on. I hope you all found this, hopefully you found it entertaining. Hopefully you found it informative. Hopefully you took something out of it. If you need help, let me know, and I will catch you all next time.